We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act but a habit. A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Dr. Reena Meshram, on behalf of Postgraduate Department of Chemistry and IQAC, Nabira Mahavidyalaya Katol, welcome you all on the fifth day of our 10-day lecture series. On this pretty day, we have privileged to have the illustrious speaker, Dr. Dattatray Ghotekar, and Sir is going to deliver a talk on the common chemical laboratory safety measures. Welcome, sir. Now, to give the brief introduction of our today's guest, I would like to request Dr. Nilesh Gandhare, convener and assistant professor, Nabira Mahavidyalaya Katol, to introduce our speaker, Dr. Dattatray Ghotekar. Over to you, sir, Dr. Nilesh Gandhar.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all. It is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. Dattatray Ghotekar, sir, for the today's session of 10 days national level lecture series. He is assistant professor and HOD, Department of Chemistry, NUP Mandal's Arts, Commerce and Science College, Lasgaon, Nashik. He received his PhD in Chemistry 2011 under the guidance of Dr. Charan Singh Gill, Aurangabad University. He has 29 years of teaching experience at UG level and 10 years of teaching experience at PG level. He has 29 national and international research publications, 2 minor research projects to his credit. Presently, 2 students are working for PhD under his guidance. He has delivered many invited talks and presented his work in national and international journals. Dear participant, please join me welcoming Dr. Dattatray Ghotekar sir, who is going to talk about the common chemical laboratory safety measures. Dr. Ghotekar sir, please. Dr. Ghotekar sir.
Thank you, Gandhare sir, for nice introduction. Respected dignitaries and all participants from various parts of the India. Friends, I have great pleasure to be a part of this noble event of 10 days national level lecture series program in the memory of late Sri Bhikulalji Nabira Mahavidyalaya Katol. I heartily appreciate this activity organized by PG Department of Chemistry, respected HOD Dr. Borkar sir and all his team in association with IQAC under the able governance and leadership of Honorable Dr. Raju Sahib Deshmukh and all their management member team. I also appreciate to respected principal from this of this Mahavidyalaya, Dr. Naveen sir, and all members from convener committee for their strong support and motivation to organize such a knowledgeable event. Friends, today is the 5th day of this series. In last 4 days, you have been benefited by the lectures such as preparation of net set examination delivered by Mr. Nilesh Padol sir. Second lecture was given by Dr. Vishakha Telgote on simple and effective strategy for writing research papers. You are also interacted with Kanhaiya Dadure sir on target-based drug discovery and their physiological applications. And lastly, on 4th day, you have been benefited by Dr. Bhushan Popatkar sir on IR spectroscopy in characterization of various novel molecules. Friends, today I have allotted the topic common chemical laboratory and safety measures. Friends, you might know at a global level, there are thousands of people are associated with different types of laboratory, academic laboratories, as well as industrial laboratories. And many people are working in the laboratory and knowingly, unknowingly, because of mistakenly, there are several accident events occurs day by day. Therefore, the health safety measures was introduced in 1970 in the form as a OSHA, that is Occupational Safety and Health Administration. Friends, there are 5 phases of lab safety: chemical fume hood, protective gloves, safety goggles, showers, lab coats, eye wash, fire extinguisher, first aid kit, and emergency exist. You might know chemical fume hood. As far as chemical fume hood is concerned, many times we perform experiments in the laboratory, chemical laboratory. We analyze several things in chemistry laboratory or any chemical laboratory. At that time, different chemicals having a different hazardous property because of interaction, because of the reaction with itself. There are several types of carcinogenic, toxic, or irritant gases get liberated. Therefore, such a type of reaction, we should perform that experiment in chemical fume hood. Second thing, that is a protective gloves, safety goggles, showers, lab coats, eye wash. Friends, to protect our body, protect our health, this PPE is necessary. Fire extinguisher is also important thing. So I will discuss this part one by one. Let us consider the first factor, that is the first piece of safety measure, that is a use of chemical hood. You know, chemicals such as a dimethyl sulfoxide, POCl3, or many irritant chemicals, acids, such chemicals, when we perform the reactions at that time, what happens? There is evolution of very carcinogenic irritant vapors, and it can cause health hazard, or our skin can get damaged, skin can get burned. Therefore, while doing such reactions, carcinogenic reaction, toxic reaction, or lacrimatic reaction, or noxious reactions, we should always use the chemical hood. Second piece of protection is nothing but goggles and mask. We should always wear goggle and mask to protect our eyes, because some lacrimatic chemicals are there. When we open the bottles, or when we take the chemicals from bottles, there is our eyes get lacrimated. Therefore, to avoid the lacrimation, we should protect our eyes and mouth with the help of mask and goggles, various types of goggles. When we perform the experiment in the laboratory, our body should be totally covered by apron and mask and or various types of PPE. Our clothing should be not so loose, because it may get deep into the chemical while doing the experiment, or it may be deep into fall on the fire and it may catch the fire. Therefore, we should always take the care having a full wear while doing the experiment in the laboratory. So this is the next thing. Do not wear open-toed shoes, because open-toed shoes may harmful to our feet. Because when we are doing the experiment, we are taking the acids or phenolic substances. At that time, there may be possibility of falling the droplets, or chemicals may be spills on our body or on our feet. Therefore, you should always wear full shoes, not open-toe shoes. And always wear leather shoes, not canvas shoes, because you might know leather has a less reactivity towards the chemical. Therefore, it should be noted very carefully. So friends, many people, especially female, are having the ability to apply the cosmetics. Chemical cosmetic is nothing but it is a one type of chemical. And when we perform the experiment in the laboratory and there is a full of vapors in the laboratory, it is of different type of vapors, toxic vapors, chemical vapors. And there is a slow reaction between the vapors of chemicals and cosmetics. We doesn't realize it, but after some time, we get to realize, and it can be harmful to our body, to our health. Therefore, always be careful. Do not apply cosmetic while doing the experiment. Don't eat anything, any snacks or any food in the laboratory, because our food or drink is get contaminated with that snacks or food, and it may be hazardous to our health, and it will affect our body function, physiological function. Therefore, be aware of this thing. So this is the slide having a one rat, and he tested the chemical. This is symbolic one. Message is that do not test any chemical, because testing of chemical is hazardous to health. Therefore, don't test any chemical in the laboratory. So this is the slide of taking the smell of particular chemical. Friends, don't smell any chemical. You should be aware of that chemical. You should have a information regarding that chemical. Then and then you should always smell the chemical. MSDS data should be known to that chemical. So this is the person, taking a smell of chemical. But if it is important, necessary to smell the chemical, you should adopt the way of smelling like this. Smell the chemical by handling fan the vapors to your nose. So this is the next slide regarding the handling of the different chemicals, acids. Friends, this is not especially for student purpose. This slide is regarding the lab assistant and assistant. So you might know the rule. Always do the concentration from higher concentration to lower concentration. This rule is adopted in the laboratory. And second thing is that don't pour water into the acid. Pour acid into the water. If we add the water into the acid, that is a low concentration to high concentration, there may be explosion, and acid can be spills on your body, and there may be harmful to your body, or body may be get burned. So be aware of this thing. Sometimes many research students do the conduct the experiment, set the experiment, but they do not take the care of glass apparatus. Sometimes our RBF, our glass beakers have some cracks. And when we take that glass apparatus for performing the experiment or heating purpose or refluxing purpose, sometimes suddenly that glass RBF get break, and it can cause the harmful effect. It can spill on your body because you are observing that experiment. Therefore, be aware of this thing. Do not use such a type of glassware. Check the glassware properly. So this is one slide regarding the student. Many times student has to perform the analytical work. Sometimes they have to perform qualitative work, qualitative and quantitative work. At that time, people has to heat the test tube. So this is the slide having a one test tube hitting on a flame. So you should always take care of hitting the test tube. The test tube angle should be directing to the opposite with yourselves, or you should also be care of your friends. It should be not to the other people. So this slide suggests how to hit the test tube in proper angle and what care we should take while hitting the test tube. So this fellow not working properly, angle of test tube and mouth of test tube is towards here. Next. So this is the slide. Next slide. Handle the hot glasswares with proper gloves, or you should pick up these beakers with the help of beaker tongs. Do not take the hot glassware directly by naked hands, because it may be harmful to your hands, or it may burn your hands. So this is one slide. This slide is regarding the how to use the glass, how to use the burners. Many times people are habitual to start the knobs of the burners, and after some time they lighten the match. But this is not the proper way for starting the burner, because what happens there, when you start the burner before lightening the match, there is a too much dispersion of this gas, flammable gas, and it can catch the fire. Therefore, be aware of this. This is the proper way. Start, light the match, and then start the knob. This is the precaution you should take always. Many times we have to perform volumetric titrations. At that time, people or students take the solutions directly by mouth. Many chemicals are carcinogenic, many chemicals are irritant, they are having a very problematic odors. In such a time, you should not use the mouth. Pipettes should be used while taking the solutions from stock solutions. You should have a certain different types of pipettes. One thing I forgot to tell you, for student regarding the student in the laboratory, do not pour the solution. Do not pour any acid into the test tube. If you want some acids or any solution, always use dropper. You should have a different kinds of dropper. Acids have a different dropper, or another solutions, organic solutions have different dropper. Take the solutions with the help of dropper. Which chemicals we require before starting the experiment, we should know it. What chemicals are required for performing the particular experiment? Take out that chemicals with the help of lab assistant and read the MSDS sheet, material safety data sheet. It is must read by the people because many chemicals have different properties, chemical properties. Many chemicals in the laboratory are carcinogenic. Some chemicals are toxic. Some chemicals are irritant. Some chemicals are corrosive. And some chemicals are lachromatic chemicals. Therefore, before using different types of chemicals, you must read MSDS sheet, and afterward, you should follow the procedure of the experiment. So this is the slide regarding the hairstyle in the laboratory. You should always tie your hair to the back side. Do not use dangling hair in the laboratory because dangling hair can fall in the burner and it can catch the fire. Therefore, be cautious regarding such types of hair style. Or it may be fall into the chemical and it will be harmful to your hairs. Friends, in the chemical laboratory, we should have this necessary things. First thing, that is an eye wash fountain. Suppose sometimes knowingly or unknowingly chemical goes into our eyes. At that time, there should be eye wash fountain nearby. So this is very necessary in laboratory. Then safety shower. Sometimes while heating the chemical in the beaker or in test tube, sometimes chemical rapidly get eject out on our body. At that time, we should have a safety shower. Immediately, as soon as such a type of incident occur in the laboratory, you should immediately go to the safety shower and you should clean your body with the help of safety shower. Therefore, it must be there in the laboratory. Then fourth arm, you may say, of the laboratory, fire extinguisher. There must be fire extinguisher in the laboratory. Depending upon size of the your laboratory, there should be 1, 2, 4, depending upon your size of the laboratory. There must be a specific type of fire extinguisher. And in laboratory, there must be emergency exit when accident occur. So this is the eye wash station. This is the shower, safety shower. If an incident occur, this is the this is a fire extinguisher. When particular chemical or particular part of the laboratory catch fire, at that time we should have such a type of fire extinguisher, and there should be emergency exist if there is a explosion. Suppose there is electric hazard, there is a electric fires. At that time, we should have a specific or emergency exit to the laboratory. So friends, this is the slide regarding where to put the chemicals. Many times research people, research scholars put their chemical in their own cupboard. So this is not the proper way to keep the chemical in the own lockers, because chemicals have a corrosive nature and or carcinogenic nature. It have a irritant nature. It will affect your other things if you keep the chemicals in your own cupboard or own locker. This is not a proper way. Friends, many research scholars have ability to do the research work in the laboratory. Sometimes they do the work alone because some experiments are going on in the laboratory. Some reactions, organic reactions requires too much time, 20 hours, 2 days, 3 days to complete the reaction. At the time, people remain alone in the laboratory. But this is not the proper way, because sometimes incident occur, and if you are alone in the laboratory, at that time, you can't solve the problem, resolve the problem regarding the incident. If you have a person with you, he can help you. If you become injured, he can save your life. So always having a person with you when you are doing the work in the laboratory. Remember one thing, working in the laboratory is not the entertainment place. This is the place where there is a serious work. Careless behavior may cause problems to others. Therefore, be serious, be curious in the laboratory while performing your experiments. Many times, students perform the experiment in the laboratory and apparatus leave as it is on their tables. Do not do this. Or many times people use filter papers and too many things in the laboratory and remain kept as it is on the table. Do not do like this. You must use the proper disposal box, disposal of the waste material in proper box. There should be disposal box in the laboratory, and you should use that box accordingly. So this is the slide regarding accident occur in the laboratory. At that time, or suppose you are behaving unsafe in the laboratory, you should immediately contact to the other person for your help. So this is the slide that fellow that scholar is working in the laboratory, and she feel uneasy. Immediately she fall on the ground, and at that time you should always take the help of others. After completion of the work in the laboratory, always use the soap and water for washing the hands. Many people think, I don't do the work. Why there is a necessity to wash the hand? Do not do like this. Because even if you can enter in the laboratory, laboratory is full of vapors, full of chemicals, full of odors, and vapors get deposited in your clothes and your body. Therefore, you should, though you are not working, though you are not have done any work in the laboratory, but whenever you are going outside to the laboratory, you should always wash your hands with the soap. This is a slide regarding what to do before leaving the lab. Return the equipment and chemicals to in their proper places. Be sure to replace the lids to all containers, clean up your work area, etc. So friends, this is the common precautions we should take in the laboratory. My second part of the lecture is common hazards which are arises in the laboratory. What type of hazards arises in the laboratory? Many times in the laboratory, there may be fire hazards because of flammable material. Second hazard occurs because of corrosive chemicals. Third hazard because of toxic chemicals. Carcinogenic chemicals can cause the cancer because of long time exposure of the person in the laboratory, leakage of different gases, and lab waste. So this is the list of chemicals, common chemicals found in the laboratory, which are highly flammable chemicals. That is acetone, then acetone nitrile, benzene, 2-butanone, carbon tetra, chloride, chloroform, cyclohexane, diethyl ether, 1,2-dimethoxyethane, ethyl acetate, heptane, N-hexane, methanol, methyl tertiary butyl ether, and methylene chloride, pentane, petroleum ether, tetrahydrofuran, and toluene. So, friends, these are the flammable liquids. Flammable liquids have a very low boiling points. Its flash point is also very low. Flash point means this is the lowest temperature at which liquid can give off vapor to form an ignitable mixture of air at the surface of the liquid. Friends, the flash point is lower by some digit as compared to its boiling point or ignition point. So you should, while using this chemical, you should be aware of this, what chemical you have taken for the use, and you should note, you should consider its flash point. These are the common chemicals found in the laboratory. Formaldehyde. This is a carcin. These chemicals are carcinogenic one. Formaldehyde, methylene chloride, benzene, 2-acetyl aminofluorine, 4-aminodiphenyl benzidine, 3,3-dichlorobenzidine, 4-dimethyl aminoazobenzene, alpha-naphthylamine, beta-naphthylamine, 4-nitro-biphenyl, N-nitrosodimethylamine, sodimethylamine, and beta-propiolactone, bis chloromethyl ether, methyl chloromethyl ether, ethylene amine. So, International Agency for Research on Cancer has published this list. I have taken just for a few chemicals. List is very big, but this is the common chemicals found in our laboratory. So while using such chemicals, be aware of it. Do not expose, do not use this, expose this chemical with this chemical for long period. So next type of hazard, next type of chemicals which are harmful to our human being, that is a toxic chemicals. This is the list regarding toxic chemicals: arsenic trioxide, chlorine, hydrogen cyanide, nitrous oxide, phosgene, potassium cyanide. So this is the analytical reagent, and sodium arsenate, sodium cyanide, mercury, lead, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, pesticides, glycophosphates, etc., polychlorinated biphenyls, etc. All these chemicals are declared or published as a toxic chemical by OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or GORI, Global Estimates of Occupational Accidents and Work-Related Illness, and National Toxicology Program. These are the next chemical, that is irritant chemicals found in laboratory, that is acetonitrile. One thing I would like to tell you about acetonitrile: be careful with acetonitrile. If because what happens when we ingest the vapors of this chemical, then it is get converted into the cyanide. Therefore, be aware of it. Then chloroform, then dimethyl sulfoxide, formaldehyde, then 2-mercaptoethanol, beta-mercaptoethanol, methanol, sodium azide, sodium hydroxide, sodium hypochlorite, tetrahydrofuran, etc. This is the irritant chemical. You should aware of this chemical and use this chemical very properly, very safely. Friends, the next part is what type of pictograms used in the laboratory or on MSDS sheet on the bottles. So these are the some pictograms used in the laboratory. First pictogram is general warning. So this is the symbol which tells us there is a hazardous material. So always use MSDS sheet and observe the MSDS sheet and do the accordingly or behave accordingly. Second, this symbol represents biohazard. It means that there must be problematic um, thing, problematic blood or any biohazard. So next next pictogram is flammable material. So this symbol indicates the flammable material. This is the sign for flammable material. So this sign indicates the flammable material, which consists of different types of liquids and or even solid also, and that can catch fire, or with the help of air it is get oxidized, it is get sparks. So be aware of such chemicals. So this is the pictogram. Next pictogram, that is this is for explosive material. When such a type of bottle is there, such a type of chemical is there, you should uh, be aware of it, and its meaning is it is a hazardous material, explosive hazardous material. So this sign, next pictogram, is for electrical hazard. There may be connection of electrical equipments, and that equipments there may be problematic if we use one socket for many type of equipment, and it could cause the electric hazard. Then next pictogram is for high voltage hazard or lightning. So this is the symbol for high voltage hazard. This next symbol is for toxic material. When bottles have such a type of symbol, or any chemical have such a type of symbol, then it indicates that there must be poisonous, there must be toxic to human being, and we should use properly while using this chemical, or we should not inhale such a chemical, vapors of such a chemical. We should avoid the absorption of chemical, or we should not salt this chemical. Then this is the next pictogram regarding ionization radiation. Many equipments we have such a type of, for example, the X-ray equipment, accelerator, beam, etc. And that ionizing hazard is also hazardous to human being. Therefore, we should always be aware of this. This is the symbol for non-ionizing radiation. Radiation such as UV radiations, then IR radiations, visible radiations, or radio frequency radiations, microwaves. Friends, though it is not so hazardous, but any radiations can cause problem to our skin, problem to our body health. Therefore, we should take care of it. This is the next pictogram, that is a low temperature hazard. This hazard pertains to cryogenic hazards inside the lab, because it is occur in cold storage. Many times there is requirement of ice, and there is requirement of nitrogen gas in the laboratory. Sometimes we have to perform the reaction at very low temperature, and for that purpose we should have such a type of facility in the laboratory, low temperature type of equipment. And in that type there may be hazard, there may be possibility of hazard if there is disorder in the working of such an instrument. So this is a hot surface hazard, and this hazard is regarding hot plates. Many times we have electric hot plates, burners, and so in such a cases, we do not know whether it is hot or not, because the previous batch worked that equipment, and at that time there may be possibility of hazard. Or many times what happens, the people use the hot plates and its switch is not off, it remain as it is, and other people goes there, and they try to put the hand to test, or they work there. At that time it cause hazard, hot hazard. So this is the sign because of hazard of hot surface. So this is the again UV light hazard. I have already talked on it. You know, ultraviolet radiations are very problematic to our skin. It can cause various diseases to our body also, day by day, because of disorder in the environment. Therefore, this type of radiations are also cause adverse effect or skin damage, redness, ulceration to our skin. Therefore, be aware when there is such a type of sign on the equipment, we should handle such equipment very properly, very carefully. So this is the next symbol for oxidizing material. You know, oxidizing material, this material transfer oxygen to another chemical, and sometimes this material can cause the catch the fire, or there is a many times there is a flammable substances. At that time you should always wear proper clothing when you want to use such an oxidizing material. This is the sign for corrosive chemicals. So this sign tells us that chemical is corrosive, and we should handle very properly by wearing protective gearing. Just I have mentioned that is a PPE, personal protective kit, and you can it can create the problem to human body also. So this is the next type of hazard, that is a glassware hazard. So this symbol represents a broken glass in the laboratory can cause the hazard, physical hazard. Therefore, be aware of it. Next symbol is for this is a carcinogenic hazard, and many chemicals such as methylene chloride, formaldehyde, and benzene, or many other chemicals in the list which is provided, just provided in the previous slide. That chemical can cause cancer when there is long exposure to that chemical. Therefore, use that chemical very carefully. You should cautious about it. Then this is the irritant chemical. This sign indicates there is irritant chemical in the laboratory, and while using the irritant chemical, be careful of your eyes. Do not inhale that chemical. Do not swell this chemical, and you must wear your PPE. So this is the hazard, health hazard. This sign indicates the health hazard, the human being, and there is a respiratory, upper respiratory damage here. The meaning of this is some chemicals are there that can cause your respiratory system reproductive toxicity or carcinogenicity if you inhale that chemical for long duration. So be careful of such a chemical if you have such a sign on bottles. Next thing, always use gloves whenever you are doing in the laboratory, working in the laboratory, performing in experiment in the laboratory, because wearing of gloves is very important. It will save your skin. Then shoes, I have already talked on boots or shoes. You should have a full size boots or shoes. And you should have a leather shoes, because many time chemical falls on our feet, uh, acid falls on feet, or phenols falls on feet, and it can burn our skin. Then this is about the protective clothing. Again, we have an apron and full apron. We should have a full apron for safe work. So this is the safety goggle. This sign indicates safety goggle. We should always use safety goggles, spectacles, or eye shields, various type of glasses to save our eyes from lacrimatic chemicals and toxic vapors, or chemical splashes, or debris, or visible light. We should always use such a type of goggles. So this is the breathing apparatus, breathing mask or respirators, and you should always use such a type of breathing respirators. This is the face shield, and this face shield should be very important. You can either use goggles, or you can use whole face shield for protect your body, protect your eyes. Then this is the hearing protection instrument, and whenever there is very big loud above particular decibel, you can't ignore it. At that time, you should have such a type of instrument, hearing protection instrument, while doing in the laboratory. This is the eye wash station. I have already talked on it. This is food and drink prohibited. This sign indicates do not take food, snacks, or drinks in the laboratory. So this is the next slide. So this tells us this sign symbol pictogram tells us the pictogram regarding pacemakers. Many people have a heart problem, and many people have heart problem, and sometimes metallic parts are get implanted in the body, in our body. And when you are in the laboratory having a very superconducting magnets, at that time it can cause problem to your heart or your body organ. At that time, you should avoid to go near to such a type of superconducting magnets. So this sign tells us no pacemakers or metallic implants. Then this is a fire extinguisher. So I have already talked on fire extinguisher. Laboratory should have a specific type of fire extinguisher depending upon different type of fire, and we should have a proper number in the laboratory, because many time accident occur, and if it is not present there, then we can't save the lives. Therefore, it must be there. Then fire blanket. So this sign pictogram tells us whenever accident occur, suppose there is a particular accident regarding the fire, and clothes of particular person get catch fire. At that time, we should have a fire blanket to save the life of that person. Therefore, this is the symbol regarding fire blanket. This is a fire hose. This is a fire hose connection. Fire hose means connection. Fire connection, we can have a fire from this hose. So this is the symbol. Then first aid station. This sign indicates the first aid station. We should have such a facility in the laboratory, because many times small accident occurs and there is no first aid kit. Then it will be problematic to student and the person who are working in the laboratory. Then this symbol represents no open flames. How to ignite the flame or how to start the flame, I have already told you. First, light the match and then start the knob of the flame. So this is the proper way. So no open flame. This sign indicates there should not be use of flame because of presence of many flammable chemicals and oxidizable chemicals. And in that area, we do not use the fire open flame. So this is the sign. Then this sign is for defibrillator. Many persons have heart problems. Suppose person caused by heart attack in the laboratory. At that time, we should have a defibrillator. Defibrillator is a machine. It has a high voltage, and if there is cardiac arrest, at that time when you use the defibrillator, its life can be saved. Defibrillator help to start the our heart. So this is the sign for defibrillator. Then this is the emergency meeting point. So this sign for emergency. Suppose particular incident occur, at that time where to gather, meeting point should be there in the lab, and this sign represent it. This is the harmful irritant again. Then next is safety shower. I have already talked on this. Wash hands. This is again repeated here. Laser beam. So this is the sign regarding laser beams. So laser beams can also cause the problem. This is a next symbol is for optical radiation hazard. Optical radiation can also affect many hazard. It can cause many hazard. So this is regarding optical hazard, optical radiation hazard. Then this is a dangerous to the environment. This sign, a fish is given, and the sign of the fish, symbol of the fish, can tells us environmental hazard. So this is regarding how to dispose the material, chemical material in the environment. So this is a very important thing. And where do you dispose it? What type of disposal box or what type of disposal arrangement should be done nearby the laboratory. This is a very important thing. Then this is strong magnetic field hazard. Again, this is repeated. Pacemaker and metal implant, such a type of hazard may occur whenever you pass nearby the strong magnetic field. So this is a recycling symbol. Many times some chemicals are recycled, some material of chemical laboratory is recycled, and this thing can be recyclable. This is the meaning of this symbol. So you should do, or we should behave accordingly. So this is this symbol, square and one rigid tank is there. This is a symbol or pictograms for inert gas and inert gas of argon or other gases. So this is a This is the sign, simple sign for compressed gas, liquefied. You know, in laboratory, we need certain type of liquefied gas, and they can cause explosion when there is not proper working of the tank or of the hose of that laboratory. At that time, we experience such a type of hazard during the this corona time. We have heard that many such a type of gases hazard, compressed gases hazard, we have seen, we have heard in Maharashtra also. So this is the sign regarding recombinant DNA. This is also problematic. This is regarding virus. So this type of recombinant DNA means this is a problematic biomaterial which is hazardous to human being, and be aware of this. You should note this. Then non-flammable gas. This is again non-flammable gas. These gases can cause explosion because it is compressed, highly compressed gas in the tank. Therefore, we should careful about it. This is the sign, danger and no flame. So this is a cold room. This sign indicates there is a cold room, and there should be dry. There is a dry ice, storing of dry ice, and flammable material, such as liquid chemicals, etc. Sometimes we have to write the notebook. We have to write the. We have to use the mobiles, and we have to take the phones at that time. We must have a gloves. We must not use the gloves, because when you take such a notebook or phones, or with the help of gloves are already having some chemicals, deposited chemicals, and sometimes we should avoid gloves. No gloves. This sign indicates no gloves. Means we are working with your notebook or instruments. So friends, this is the slide regarding various types of fires, and which type of fire extinguisher we should use at different places. So this is the first type of fire. First type of fire, that is A fire, class A, and this fire having a pictogram like this. And which type of fire is there? This is fire because of combustible papers, wood, cardboard, and plastics. Second fire is a fire B, and this fire B having this pictogram, and this is because of flammable liquids and gasolines, kerosene, etc. Third type of fire is fire C. This is because of electrical fire. Fire occur because of fire, because of different electrical instrument, short circuits, etc. Such a type of fires is there. Then this is the next type of fire, that is a D, fire D, and it has a pictogram like this. This is not commonly used, but we should know it. So this is the fire because of magnesium, titanium, potassium, or sodium metal. It can cause the fire. You know, when it get contact with air or some moisture or water, etc. So this is the next fire, that is a fire K, and this is because of this is the symbol, this is the pictogram, and this fire is because of oils and fats. And we should always use the fire extinguisher on the basis of type of fire. And friends, lastly, before going to the last slide, I would like to show the slide of 3 minutes. Before going to that slide, I would like to Okay, we'll see the fire slide first, then.
There are some very, very simple things that we can do to stay fire.
सर स्लाइड में आवाज नहीं आ रही, आप एक्सप्लेन करिए सर। हेलो घोटेकर सर।
This is a 3-minute slide show how to use the fire extinguisher. Many times we have fire extinguisher in the laboratory, but we don't know how to use this. So this slide show is regarding how to use the fire extinguisher. Actually, voice is not, what is the problem here? He's telling how to use the pressure gauge and how to use the fire extinguisher. How to open the septic pin. Hose pipe. This is a hose pipe. How to remove the pin and how to use the extinguisher when there is a fire. This is a fire extinguisher for homes and cars. This is the pressure gauge, and this is the button for using the fire extinguisher in the cars and house. So how to use the home extinguisher on. So this is friends. Lastly, I come to my last station. That is, I'm very thankful to late Sri Bhikulalji Nabira Mahavidyalay and President of this institution, Honorable Dr. Raju Saheb Deshmukh, and all his members of management committee for giving me an opportunity to interact about common chemical laboratory. I am also very thankful our principal, convener of this college and principal of this college, Dr. S.K. Naveen sir, and a member of convener committee, that is Nilesh Gandhare sir, Vikas Barsagade sir, for this event. I'm also very thankful of Department of Chemistry, Professor Dr. A.D. Borkar sir, then Kailas More sir, Nilesh Jadhav sir, Reena Meshram ma'am, then Ishant Dhadade, Adil Jiwani sir, and all the participants for hearing me patiently. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for such a informative and dynamic lecture. Sir, you have covered all the safety measures which we must consider while working in lab, and you explain us all the pictorial things which we have seen generally on the bottles and in the laboratories, in the national laboratories generally. And on while we handling the bottles, there are some pictures on that, but most of us don't know actual meaning of that. You have explained very well, sir. Thank you very much. Now, the last one. Now, to propose the vote of thanks, may I call upon Mr. Kailash More, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Nabira Mahavidyalaya, Katol. Over to you, sir. Dr. More, sir.
Ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, you're
Uh,
audible.
Very good afternoon to one and all. I would like to thank Dr. Dattatray S. Ghotekar sir from bottom of my heart for giving his valuable time and delivering such a wonderful lecture on the common chemical laboratory safety measures. Truly, sir, all participants surely got idea about how to work safely in chemical laboratory. I would also like to thank Dr. Nilesh Vigandare sir for a nice introduction of today's guest speaker. I would like to thank Dr. Meshram ma'am for comparing the session. I would also like to thank Dr. Borkar sir, Mr. Jadhav sir, all teaching and non-teaching staff. I would like to thank Dr. Adil sir, Mr. Revatkar sir for their technical support. Lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for participating and listening carefully with gist and zeal. With the permission of organizing committee, I would like to conclude here
More,
that.
sir, want to interrupt you. There is one question before we leave the session.
Okay.
Sir, can I ask one question from the participant?
Yeah.
Sir, there is one question from the Jameshwar Prasad Sahu sir, that, sir, is there any technique to wash our aprons and gloves if you are using these things many times? We want to ask, sir, that whether we can wash the gloves and aprons which we are using while handling or while working in the laboratory, because we are using many times the same gloves and the same aprons.
Yes, we can wash our apron and glasswares. In market, there are different special detergents regarding glasswares and
Hello.
aprons.
No, sir, gloves, sir, gloves. He was asking about the gloves.
Gloves, yes. Gloves.
Yeah.
Gloves can be washed. Suppose we can wash these gloves with a mild alkali solution. If we are using acids, there is a acid use of acid. At that time, we can use the mild solution of alkali. It can wash accordingly what type of use we have done with the help of gloves. Accordingly, we have to use the different mild solutions.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Ghotekar
Someone
sir, thank
asked.
you so much, sir.
Sir, someone asked to share the PPT with us that we can share it on the WhatsApp group. If you can share with the organizing committee, then we will forward it in the WhatsApp group. Okay, sir. Gandhara sir, you can continue.
Thank you, Ghotekar sir. More sir,
Sir.
anything else you have to say?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, okay. Just please end the session, sir.
Okay. ठीक है.
Thank you once again.
Uh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nice session.
Thank you, everyone. We take
Uh,
your leave and we will meet tomorrow on the same platform with a new
Okay.
speaker.
Okay. Happy Republic Day in advance. Jai Hind. Thank you all of you.
Please end the session, sir.
Okay, sir.